I was baptized the day after Christmas, which is a feast day of St. Stephen the Martyr, and I don't know if that was accidental or my parents were trying to be prophetic. Either way, it's both disturbing and cool. Hello, my friends. Welcome to Rooted. We're going to take some biblical insights and apply them to leadership, because at the end of the day, if you are a Christian leader, we have got to be following the Master and stay rooted in His Word. We're talking about the baptism of the Lord today, a feast day that officially ends the Christmas season. And we're going to get a little bit personal on this one. Each week, try to take some concepts and apply them to how we lead teams, how we cast vision. But this week, we're going to look inward at who we are. When I think about my role as a leader, and my role actually in anything, my job, I have found, in my life at least, that I can often wrap up my identity in what I do. Now, this may be true for you as well, where you go to work and what you do there cascades into the rest of your life. You have a bad day at work, the rest of your day is kind of rough. If you do really well at a project at work, you feel affirmed, you feel like you're successful. And to a degree, that's understandable, right? We spend most of our waking hours working at a particular job. And it stands to reason that we would like to do well at that thing. And when stuff is rough at the place that we're spending 40, 45, maybe 50 hours a week, it can make us feel pretty drained. And when we're successful in that arena, we can feel happy. The challenge with work, and I think this is especially true for leaders because leadership can encompass so much of who we are, is when that becomes our full identity. When we're so bound up in the title, when we're so bound up in the role, when we're so bound up in the projects, that we forget who we are and whose we are. The baptism of the Lord reminds us of that. And the gospel this week is from Luke, and it ends with a really profound line that is spoken to Jesus that reveals the fact that Jesus, when he's baptized by John, is not just another guy. He's not John's cousin. He is the Messiah. He is the chosen one. Now, these last couple of lines don't simply apply to Jesus, but they apply to us as well. A voice comes from heaven and says, "You are my beloved Son. With you I am well pleased." Those words spoken to Jesus reveal his identity, the truth of who he is. And Jesus takes on a lot of roles that support that identity. He is a prophet. He is a healer. He is a teacher. He's a rabbi. All of these different titles are a part of who Jesus is, but they aren't his identity. You and I wear a lot of hats and have a lot of titles, but they are not our identity. At the beginning of the day and at the end of the day, we would do well to simply repeat these words: I am God's beloved, and he's pleased with me. God sees me, knows me, has called me, and that is my deepest identity and the truest aspect of who I am. If we can remain rooted in that simple fact, everything else becomes ordered in our life, including how we lead. The challenge with an identity that is rooted in our role or rooted in our leadership is the fact that it will influence then all that we do. If I have a team of people that I'm leading and I really want to lead well and I want them to like me, that is going to transform how I lead, where I'm going to lead from a standpoint of affirmation. If I have a reputation in my role as being very hard-nosed, maybe almost ruthless, and that's what has gotten me to where I'm at, well, I'm going to lean into that role and there's not going to be a place for compassion. The role that we're in starts to set who we are, and that is disordered. Who we are needs to influence the roles in which we find ourselves. This also promotes a stability in our life just in general, because there are ebbs and flows to our work life. There are going to be moments where we are successful and we are enjoying a fruitful season. And there are times where we're going to be in kind of a desert, where things are hard. And if I allow my identity and my self-worth to rise and fall with the ebbs and flows of work, I am going to be in tumultuous seas forever. But if I'm able to lean in to what God has called me to be as his son, what God has called us to be as a beloved, chosen child, now everything is a little bit different. Now I have a solid framework and foundation from which I can lead because I know who I am. It allows me to make difficult decisions that maybe put me into a desert season at work, because at the end of the day, I know that my worth isn't rooted in what I do. It is rooted in who I am and ultimately whose I am. So when Jesus is baptized, his identity is revealed, and all of the other parts of Jesus' life, all of the other roles in which he will play, prophet, Messiah, rabbi, even to some people, a criminal, all fall under the heading of his identity. It's not who he is. He isn't just a rabbi. He isn't just a teacher. He isn't just a prophetic voice. He is the Messiah. And for you and I, we're going to wear a lot of hats and have a lot of roles, but ultimately they aren't who we are. So as you go forward and we officially leave the Christmas season and enter into ordinary time, I want you to keep this at the core of who you are. If you could wake up and go to bed every night saying, I am a beloved, chosen child of God, and He is pleased with me, it is going to impact everything else in your life, especially how you lead, because you'll lead from a place of a firm foundation rather than something that shifts with the seasons of life. So enjoy this as we end the Christmas season and move into ordinary time, and I will see you back here next week on Rooted.